Joining me now is one of the impeachment managers, Congressman Ted Lieu of California. And Congressman, thank you so much for being here. And I got to start by asking you if you feel the first trial didn't feel like a fair trial. It was brilliantly handled by the impeachment managers, but it was clear that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans were never going to allow there to be a full trial. In this case, the lawyer for the ex-president was arranged through Lindsey Graham. Right? He set him up and put him in there. It's somebody that's got a history of serving with George W. Bush, but this is somebody that Lindsey Graham put him in there. Do you feel like between that and having two of your jurors are sitting there with ethics complaints against them, Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley, that you even have any possibility of a fair jury for your case?
We do. So first of all, I think that says a lot when the public reporting shows that the president was having trouble finding lawyers to represent him. I'm pleased that he was able to find a lawyer to represent him. And we're ready to go, whether it's next week or February 8th. We believe we will present a very, very persuasive case because the American people saw crimes unfold in real time, including these U.S. senators, some of who were victims of what happened on January 6th.
Is it possible for you to call senators as witnesses?
So the Senate will come up with the procedures and rules for the trial, and we will follow whatever those rules are. We have a very strong case based on the evidence that many in America watched on that day. Donald Trump incited this mob that violently attacked the Capitol to stop Congress from formalizing his defeat. Trump was using violence to try to stay in power.
So there's getting to the evidence of that, and then there's getting to whether or not the trial itself is constitutional, which appears to be what's being set up as argument number one. Ron Johnson, who through the quirks of the way Senate procedure works because the Senate hasn't been organized yet, is still in charge of the Homeland Security Committee, even though he's term limited and in the minority. But he came out today and he tweeted the following: Democrats can't have it both ways. An unconstitutional impeachment trial and Senate confirmation of the Biden administration's national security team. They need to choose between being vindictive or staffing the administration to keep the nation safe. What will be revenge of security? What he essentially is saying, Ron Johnson, this is the guy who was floating conspiracy theories about Ukraine, is now saying that he wants to hold hostage the national security staff of the incoming president to try to stop the impeachment. Again, you're walking into some very shark-filled waters here.
This has nothing to do with being vindictive. It has to do with deterrence. It has to do with national security. Future presidents need to know that they cannot attempt a coup to hold on to power. And the only time they're going to try this is after they've lost an election. And it simply can't be that a Senate is going to say, we have no jurisdiction to deal with what presidents do after the presidential elections. Of course the Senate does. And of course this is constitutional. And in 1800s, Congress, in fact, did impeach and convict a former secretary. So there is ample precedence for this.
And so if you can get through that first step of being able to say, yes, it is constitutional to hold an impeachment trial for a president who's out of power, when you move on to step two, what is going to be your primary argument for conviction?
So again, I want to note that not only is it constitutional, but over 150 constitutional law scholars, including conservative members of the Federalist Society, have signed on to a letter saying this is completely constitutional. And our argument is very simple. Donald Trump, the commander-in-chief, incited an insurrection. It was an attack on our nation's capital to stop Congress from accepting the certified electoral college results, and a number of people died. If you're not going to impeach and convict a president for doing that, it's not clear to me why you even have that clause in the Constitution.
Yeah. And very quickly, to shout out to William Belknap, who was impeached in 1876, my great producers here, on charges of prostituting his high office for lust for private gain. He resigned trying to escape impeachment, but got impeached anyway. So there is a precedent. But again, I have to come back to the fact that there is such disingenuity on the other side. You have members on the other side who've already made it clear that they don't even want this trial to happen. And you have also, do you feel a little awkward presenting this case in front of people who helped whip up that mob? People like Ted Cruz, people like, Josh Hawley. Should they even be allowed to be jurors here?
We're going to present the case to 100 senators. We're going to try to get 100 senators to vote for conviction, because at the end of the day, what happened was not only utterly unacceptable, crimes were being committed, instigated by our commander-in-chief, and this was done to maintain power. And if we don't do something now, then future presidents and future generations will go, I lost the election. Let me see what I can do to try to maintain power. Let's try a coup. And maybe next time they're going to be successful. That's why we have to act strongly and swiftly. And I hope all senators will be open to convicting.
We will be watching. Congressman Ted Lieu, thank you so much. Really appreciate you being here this evening.